Hi everyone, this is Kim Del Torre. Welcome to my Module 3 on the Inquiry Lab where we investigated the water filtration lab. So this lab I'm actually pretty familiar with because I do it with my 6th graders where they build a water filter and they try to filter polluted water from the Potomac River, but it's just a simulation with what they can create. This was a little different, however, so I was trying to kind of mix what I knew from the classroom and what I learned from the readings. So my plan and design, I was trying to figure out where each of the materials aligned with the soil layers. I came to the conclusion that the cheesecloth was most like the humus because of the weaving and the roots. The aluminum sulfate I put as topsoil because I wasn't really sure about that one. That one for the topsoil and subsoil, I think I was going more for sand. Then I also looked at using charcoal for the fragmented rock or the parent rock, and then gravel for the bedrock. So when I was layering them, you can see how I just added each of those to my cups. And then my first design had natural soil layers where it was just one on top of the other. You can see from top to bottom how I layered them, but I realized that after using the filter, it did not work out too well. It might have been because of the pebbles not being rinsed or the leaves that I put into the original dirty water. So it did not turn out too well. And then this was just a little video of it. You can see how dirty the water was. For my second design, so I realized maybe I should wash or rinse the gravel. I added coffee filters in between layers, and I added another layer of sand in between, and I also made the layers thicker. So there was probably an inch of some of them, or maybe a centimeter for some, but they were definitely thicker than the first one. So then you can see here kind of like a faster loop, but the water does come out a lot clearer the second time around than the first time. So in conclusion, the bottle on the left is what my final solution was. It was a lot clearer, still a little cloudy. Probably running it through another time or adding some other filter would do it. The brownish water in the middle is what I used for that one, and that's how clear it came out. And then the third picture on the right shows the leaves and the consistency of my first trial, and I just don't understand how it came out yellow. So those were my final measurings, and you can see the one on the left was my second trial where it came out clearer, still a little cloudy, but I was still happy that it wasn't yellow. Then when I looked at the activity and rated it on the Science Practices Continuum Assessment tool, it did get more 3s and 4s in the investigating the science practices because the students are gathering their materials, they are investigating how the soil works in the natural world. So they do ask kind of questions of how each material works and how it filters. Of course, they design and conduct their experiment, so it gets a 4 for that one as well. For the mathematical things, when I went through it, I only measured a few things, but it didn't really have to do with the layers. I think the measuring the layers was just a minimal part of getting to the scientific question of how the soil layers filter the water. In the sense-making science practices, again, 3s and 4s, the students do work to collect data to see which one filters best. They aren't really putting it into a table or graph, but they're still realizing which kinds of filters are working better and noticing those patterns across the board. Then they do have to construct explanations as to why this happens, and just by doing some research and figuring out which ones filter best is where they can find their solutions. And the students evaluate how the limitations of the filters work. So some models would work better than others. Critiquing the science practices. If you're working in a group with students, in the Dr. Kilpatrick video with the students, you could see the students arguing with each other, figuring out which layer they should put first or which one they should put last, and trying to help each other create the best filter that they could. And lastly, evaluating communicating information. They can see that their info combined just by doing different research. They can see which ones to use. I think as I read through different websites and was trying to see different filter examples, I could see that a lot of people had different ideas. So I just kind of combined to make my own. Just some of my sources that I used, and thank you.